Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Scottish Disney Cars Collector YouTube channel. And today we're going to be reviewing Masha Ellswrench, the brand new 2025 Cars 1 release, and technically our only movie release for the year. Because outside of her and Jonathan Gearson, who's a Cars on the Road character, obviously, it's all race and rescue. So I think this review is going to be a bit more special than others this year just because it is our only new movie release. And it's a character who doesn't even appear in the film. It's just made up. But you just assume Brush Kerber has a crew chief, obviously. So, yeah, been a while since we've done a diecast review. Apologies about that, everyone. It's just because we've been reviewing so many playsets recently on the channel, like, the Thunder Hollow track and Flo's V8 Cafe and, the Race and Rescue Roadway playset, put a lot of money into doing reviews for you guys. So, yeah. So, there's been a bit of a controversy around Masha Ellswrench, which we'll go on to in a minute. But I think this is a great release. And it feels weird this is our only new movie release for the year, but also isn't Masha our first new movie release since Breaker Boggs in 2023? It was a Cars 3 release, obviously. I think it is, yeah. Because last year it was just all on the road in GRC. So, yeah, I think she is, which that is fucking strange. We don't get a lot of new movie releases these days. I mean, it's times like this when I miss 2022. I know 2022 wasn't the best year for Cars, especially that first half, but that second half, Revne Grilante, Dana Krankov, Colin Borev, Keith Cohen, just so many new movie releases that we got in that year and then flipped over John Newman. I missed 2022 a lot, I have to say. We didn't know how good we had it. Because this year, it's been okay, but it's just not really been what we've had in recent years. And for me, it's easily the worst year, I think, since I got back into collecting. I started collecting again in 2022. So, yeah. Anyway, Masha Ellswrench. So she came out of 2025 singles KSU. KSU has been very difficult to get here in the UK. I imagine it's in full force and distribution right now for you USA folk, but here in the UK, Smith seems to have skipped the case, and I've been chasing KSU up basically. I've been asking people if they have any spares or did they get it, and I was told that, like, oh yeah, I got that in Smith's ages ago, and I was just like, what? Sorry, where did you get these cars? And people were like, oh no, a box came in, and I was like, how? And literally in the last week in the UK, we have just got KSU, but we got Case V first, which is very strange. However, I contacted Gemdens on eBay and they had all three of the KSU highlights, and they done me them for the good price of £9 each. They wanted £10, but they done a slight discount because I do buy a lot from them, which is very kind. However, literally 2 days after me doing that, KSU is now coming into stores. So, ayo, what can you do? But thanks to that happening, I purchased this yesterday. So it's just another Masha Ellswrench, but it's on card. It's a bit creased though, so I might sell this one until I can get another one. And before we go into the diecast, yeah, we had to talk about this. Obviously, the big glaring issue with this release, and that's the card art. Docket has gone over this many times. The fandom has gone over this many times. It really has caused a big stir, and yeah, it is fucking awful. It's just, what is baffling about this is the fact they have so many other sedan artworks, because that's what Masha is. She is a sedan, not a fucking pickup truck. And people, like, people have been editing, like, Revne Grilanti's artwork in Gen Tan sedan, and you've got Dana Krankoff as well, who's a sedan, Chuck Manifold. It's just like, could have they just not have edited any of those other artworks rather than redoing Mandy Funderbender's, who wasn't even, a new artwork anyway. It was this art for JW. Don't know where the card is, sorry, I think it's in a box somewhere, but for comparison's sake, here's Mandy's. Yeah, it's the exact same model, which, was JW, which was fine. It was fine for Mandy because Mandy was the same model as JW. So you can forgive it. It's like, okay, that's fine. You can reskin that. Fair enough. Sure. I mean, I would have liked them to change the expression at least, but I didn't even know this was reused until I saw JW's artwork. I thought this was completely brand new and made. So there you go. And then along comes Masha, and I was really excited to see what her card art would look like, because obviously this card was cancelled back in 2019. So we've always had like a sort of look at her, and on that original, the Fiber Fuel logo was upside down and she had a different expression. But we had no card art, but we knew what she looked like, and it's really great to have her after all this time. But the problem with this is just how misleading it is, and it does not match what you are seeing, because like if we compare the diecast to what you're actually seeing here, yeah, it looks nothing fucking like her. And also the colour difference is absolutely wild. It's just how yellow that is, and this is so much more orange. The camera's not picking up as well as it should probably, but in real life, trust me, it's definitely two different tones. The Fiber Fuel logo up here, that looks okay, but the Photoshop on this is absolutely fucking abysmal. And if you just look at it from a really good glance, you can tell it's just been slapped on top. Like, it doesn't blend in well. It just looks like that's like a sticker that's been put over it. And the tires are still grey and not white, of which, yep, that was fine beforehand because Mandy and JW had grey tires. Mashes are clearly white. So yeah, Mandy's grey on the art, fine. But no, they didn't even bother to do that. And the fact that the Fiber Fuel logo is tiny, on Masha, and is above this black light. Let's see when you compare it in the door handle as well, and then you just look at that. No door handle, just slapped on, and no black light. Like, it's just fucking abysmal. Because the shape you could sort of see, like, from that angle, you could maybe imagine that was the back of here, right? With that grey front. Like, you can kind of see it, but yeah, sorry, it's fucking appalling that they have done this, because it's totally misleading to what you're actually buying. She's not a fucking pickup truck, she's a sedan. And I mean, you just compare the two, and like, Mandy's at least looked like it had actual effort put into it. It looks natural. Like that Tackleman logo really blends well into what you're seeing. Whereas with that, you can just see how fucking slapped on that's been. And people have blamed Pixar for this, which I don't think is Pixar's fault at all. I don't think Pixar would ever render something like this. I think this was Mattel who's just went, yeah, fuck it, we'll just redo that. Because I'm going to imagine that Pixar have done this because it's a repaint of JW, so you can forgive that obviously, but there's no way for a completely different car Pixar made this. This would have been Mattel. Yeah, it just sucks. At least I got the yellow mouth plate right, but yeah. Anyway, new for 2025. I'm not going to go over the packaging, but there's the back. Yeah, so... Will we see the Transberry Juice crew chief next year with this artwork? This car? Fuck knows. Yeah, so I just had to go over that because, like, people have been going on about it. I just wanted to give my own opinion. Also, one more thing, actually, before I forget, I did notice they have actually slightly shrank the artwork from Masha Ellswrench from this, because if you look here, see where the headset lies and that little light, I guess. Look how much more exposed it is compared to that. You see how there's more of it here, but it's just more cut off. I'm just looking at more differences actually. I think they have like ever so slightly shrank this a little compared to this. I suppose it's to give the impression that, oh, it is the same thing. Look, size matter. Even though, like, still compare that artwork, like, fucking Masha's like fucking about 2/3 of fucking Mandy. So again, it's just really shit that they done this. Anyway, sorry for the ramble for 10 minutes, but you know, had to go over that. It's just appalling. It really is. It just because the artwork looks so shit, and I think it's because we don't have many new releases this year. It just sucks even more, and having Bye Car cancelled especially. Anyway, so let's talk about what you actually clicked on this video for, Masha Ellswrench, who I do like. I don't have a lot to say about her, to be completely honest. I have nothing to compare to, unfortunately. I do have other sedan cars, I just don't have any on me, but she's much smaller than your regular sedan. That's what really stood out to me the first time I held her. I was like, my god, she is tiny. Very tiny. I really wish I had a sedan on me, but I don't, unfortunately. But yeah, I like her. The expression, quite nice, quite happy and chirpy. I kind of wish it was the original expression, to be honest. I just think it looks more in keeping with the Piston Cup, and I liked how more aggressive that looked. I mean, I think Mandy's expression is really cool, but again, I would have preferred something a bit more aggressive. But yeah, her expression is quite nice. It is a mouth plate, unfortunately, which does mean that you get this much more darker and lighter to off-tone colour, which I really don't like. I don't get why this was just not one metal piece. I have no idea if there is a smaller sedan they've released before. If not, this is a completely brand new casting in that sense. Yeah, they've just shrank it down, but it's still technically brand new. Actually, do you know what? For a comparison, here's the new High Impact. I never realised before, but I don't know, is High Impact a sedan? Because I've been comparing these two and noticing how similar they are in shape. Because I mean, if you look at the front grills, yeah, it's smaller, but where the headlights are sitting, and then if you look at the roof, you've got that sort of inner part, and then the outline. That's got an inner part and an outline as well. Tops, pretty much the same. If you look at the sides, the doors line up here. There's no like sticky out bit here. Obviously, this is all smashed up. Windows, actually, do you know what? Never mind. The windows are completely different. Okay. But even if you look at the backs, they're very similar to me. That sort of bumper sticks out, and then that little trunk that's got that, and the windows. Yeah, I was just wondering, and even the taillights at the end. I was wondering if High Impact was a sedan. I'm not sure myself, but yeah, that's probably the best comparison I could actually give for now. So Masha's obviously a sort of yellow orangey colour, and again, another problem, the colour of this fucking art does not match at all. This is more yellow, this is more orange. Probably a good thing for colour comparing is Brush Kerber himself. I do have the Thailand version, but it's just somewhere deep below in a bunch of tubs, and I just cannot be arsed digging it out. So this is the best I'm going to have to give for now, unfortunately. But yeah, you can see how similar they are, colour-wise and all that. But they're also kind of different. Brush is just ever so slightly lighter, I would say, like just a tad. But Masha, like pretty much, if you get the China version of Brush, these do match up pretty well in terms of colours. The Fibre Fuel logo, they both do say run regular. Brush's is a lot darker compared to Masha's. Now, I have no idea, or I can't even remember, if on the Thailand version it's more red. But I don't know what's more accurate, to be completely honest, but I prefer the red one. Definitely. What as well is there to talk about of Masha? Sorry about that, everyone. I've literally just paused the camera for like a good 25 minutes there, because whilst I was trying to compare the colours of them two, I could feel myself on the verge of needing to pee. So I just went and done that and just stuck some food in the oven whilst I was on my feet. So apologies about that, everyone. Anyway, where were we? The colour. Yeah, so for these two, Yeah, one's slightly lighter, one's slightly darker. But if you want this to match, have the China variant with her, because I know the Thailand one is a bit more lighter than this. Again, I do have it somewhere. This was easier to get out. Plus, it works for the comparison anyway. It's just to have her next to him. And again, the Fibre Fuel logos, as I said, are different colours. I prefer the red one. But they do look great together. They really do. Just imagine that. Brilliant. Can't wait to get Megan Shifter, the Pitty, who's also in a 2-pack this year of Masha. So I will end up with another one of these, which I'm going to use for a custom. So, yeah. Anyway, so getting back to Masha, there's not a lot to talk about, to be honest, other than she is a sedan. But I like the expression, but I just wish it had the original one. I did prefer that. The iPlate, yeah, it's definitely plastic. That's plastic. Yeah, don't know why Doc said it was die-cast. I think he did it in his review. But no, it's definitely plastic. Anyway, it looks good, feels good. Pretty much the sides, well, they're both exactly the same, but here you can see the Fibre Fuel logo more clearly. Run regular Fibre Fuel. I have to say, the local decals on this release are really fucking good. They're very clear and crisp. So well done to Mattel for, well, being able to pull that off, because they've struggled a lot beforehand. However, these decals feel raised. I think what they've done is they've actually printed them afterwards, rather than putting them in with the paint. I'm trying to remember how they do it. How they do it differently now. Because if you look at Mandy's from last year, they were good, but they were a little tiny bit. You can especially see it there on like the mint and that. They were slightly blurry. Whereas with these, I don't know what they've improved, but it looks really good. Not a lot of decals on Masha to screw up anyway, but it's just nice how they're actually clear. I can read what that says. Run regular Fibre Fuel. It's great. And she's got this black trim, which you may have noticed on either side is pretty scratched up on mine. I have no idea how that happened. I can't remember if it was like that out of the package, but I think it's because I had her in my pocket that day, because I went away out to the cinema and basically brought her with me just because I wanted to. So that could be my own fault. If so, oh well, I'll have another one soon anyway. So, but yeah, slightly annoying, but I think I have myself to blame for that. The tyres are sort of white, off-white grey colour. They look quite nice. And I mean, the back is pretty, plain tail lights. And I just fucking dropped her. And as it goes for the other side, more or less the same thing, but the logo's being covered. The headset, now, I was comparing this to Mandy's a minute ago before I started playing the camera again. They are actually different. Well, naturally, of course, obviously, Mandy is a much bigger car compared to Masha. Like, by quite a bit. So, I mean, Masha's tiny. She could almost fit in that little... Oh my god, it's so cute. Fit in that little pickup truck. But the headset, as you expect to be, would, obviously be different. However, in terms of, like, length, they are pretty much exactly the same. The Masha's one is probably, like, slightly more shrunk. But if you just compare the lengths to where they end and start, they're pretty much exactly the same. However, the colours are different. So you've got your black and silver around. Obviously, Masha's slightly more thicker. Mandy's is longer. And as for the side, I keep dropping Masha because of how tiny she is, for fuck's sake. As for the side, Mandy's is all grey. Like, there's no detail fucking painted at all, which is kind of annoying. And just the black microphone at the end. Whereas on Masha, it's black, but the silver has all been picked out. And I have to say, I think it looks definitely a lot more better than Mandy's. It's definitely much more better painted. However, I did check the artwork. I mean, I didn't expect them to, but I just thought I'd check anyway. So, Mandy's more or less matches up, right? That grey, that black. If you look at the back, yeah, they match. However, Masha's, well, of course, because they wouldn't go to the effort of fucking doing that black with the silver. Yeah, they don't match at all. And if you just look at that, they've just, yeah, it's the exact same thing. I thought I would check that. I didn't expect them to, but still wanted to be sure anyway. So obviously, what probably makes Masha more significant than what she could have been is we just got Mandy literally back in October last year. So it's really amazing how in the span of like 6-7 months we've already got another uncancelled crew chief, because for people who don't know, there were 3 crew chiefs that were cancelled back in 2019, being Masha, Mandy, and, well, the Transburgess one, which I don't think we even had a name for. There was no stock image of that either. But yeah, it's great to have these two. I'm really hoping next year we get that Transburgess one, because it'd be nice to have purple to offset these two, because they are very similar in terms of like colour. Masha's definitely lighter. Mandy's definitely a lot more of an orange, but you know, you can see this. They feel like, you know, sort of similar cars, but one's a sedan, one's a pickup truck, obviously. But they look great together, I have to say. I do prefer Masha. I really do like Mandy again, looking at her, but I don't know. I think it's just this plastic back piece that lets her down, and that was the case with JW. Yeah, which they did repaint. They amazingly changed the mouth, which is fantastic. See how it's bigger, and that's like, yeah. They didn't have to do that, but it's nice they did, and the expressions are different. But because of that god awful artwork on Masha, they probably could have easily just repainted this pickup truck again. Can you imagine that with fibre fuel logos? A bit more darker, obviously, and probably just called it a day. But because we had a prototype of this, I'm guessing that's why they've not done it. Whereas with this, we did as well, which was in white. But basically the point I'm getting at is, I think because we had a prototype of this and we knew what the car looked like, I don't think they could have quite got away with reskinning this just with these decals. But they could have, and it would have matched the artwork. So, and for a character that doesn't technically appear in the film anyway, yeah, your imagination could go wild with that. So, you know, they could have got away with it in a sense, but I'm glad we've got the actual, like, what she should have looked like. Well, not in the film, but just the diecast they were planning on doing back in 2019. But I do prefer Masha over Mandy, definitely. I really do like Mandy a lot, actually, looking at her again, but I don't know, it's just something really small and sweet about Masha. She's really cute. I do like her. And it's so nice to have a fucking almost complete team for fibre fuel. Just need Megan now, and I've got the pity. But we just need a hauler, really, which I doubt we'll ever get. There was the prototype, obviously, but I don't think we'll ever get that, to be honest. But I just need Megan Shifter now, and I've got the trio complete, and it's going to be really nice to have them. So there you go, that is my review of Masha Ellswrench. 23-minute video, wasn't expecting that, but a lot to talk about, a lot to say, and considering this is our only new movie release for the year, I was really trying to suck up as much as I could, because I do like her a lot. I really do. Yeah, that's all I have to say on Masha Ellswrench. Very cool to have her. Always love getting a Cars 1 release because it's nostalgic. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Goodbye.